Hello, I'm Mathieu from LudoChrono, and today I'm going to give you an overview of the game Fertility. Fertility is a tile game, but also a resource collection game for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, and plays for around 45 minutes. So Fertility puts you in the shoes of a nomarch in ancient Egypt. So you want your metropolis to be the most successful, and you're going to do that by acquiring shops and supplying those shops with resources. You have 4 types of resources, 5 with wheat, but these resources are very special because they move back to the supply at the end of your turn if you did not spend them. So you want to spend them, but sometimes it's very hard because your shops are already full. So how do you play Fertility? Well, your turn is going to be basically 3 steps. The first one is mandatory and the second and third are optional. The first step is placing a tile from your display onto the Valley of the Nile. So you need to match the tile that you're placing on a tile on the board. So for example, we have a starting tile here, and I'm going to place this tile to match the alabaster here. So as I'm matching something, I get 1 alabaster. If there was already a tile, for example, if we were like so, I could score 2 alabasters, but it's not the case. It's the first turn, so I score only 1. Then if I'm covering up any resources, I may take them as well. So I can take papyri here. So I take the resources, and then I move on to the other phase. So the second phase is the shop phase. I may buy a shop from the supply. The shops are basically your way of scoring points. If you have empty shops, they do not do anything, but as soon as they are filled with merchandise, you're going to be able to score points with them. So for example, I will buy this shop. It costs 1 resource of my choosing, so I'm going to discard that resource, place the shop onto my personal board, and then move on to the third phase. The third phase is the supplying phase. I may choose to supply any or all of my shops with the resources that I have left. And this is very important since every unspent resource, except for wheat, is going to be discarded at the end of the turn. So for example, I may fill this spot to gain 5 victory points with this shop only. So I need to accumulate a certain number of resources to be able to score points with them. So there are a few things with the board. So for example, if you create a spot which cannot be built upon, a single spot, it's going to be called a quarry. And if you do so, you're going to be able either to collect any 1 resource or to place 1 of your monuments onto the board. These 3D monuments are going to be victory points at the end of the game if you have the most of them. Additionally, if you manage to build a tile that is close to wheat fields, you're going to gain wheat based on the number of wheat fields that you touch. And this is going to be another resource that you can spend and that is not depleted at the end of the turn. And if you have if you have a lot of wheat, you're going to get victory points just because you have wheat. It's that good. So finally, what you can do with your shops is also worshipping gods. Sometimes, if you fill a shop, you worship a god effigy. The more gods you please, the more points you have. So you try to splay them out. So that's it. You have these 3 phases, then you replace the tile that you've placed, you just draw 1, you move on to the next player, and then you can do so for the remainder of the game. So the game board, the Valley of the Nile, is going to evolve, and you're going to be able to have more opportunities over the course of the game. The game ends when the stack of tiles for the Valley of the Nile is empty. You have 1 final round before tallying up the scores, and the scores are going to be made up of your full shops plus the gods track plus the wheat plus the majority of monuments. You tally up the scores on this score sheet, and then the biggest score is the winner. That's it. You know the basics of Fertility. So this is a game about at the same time creating the perfect scoring, but at the same time you want your opponents not to score that much. So you're going to see their tiles, look at them, and try to make the perfect counter move. That's it, folks. So bye bye and see you on ludovox.fr.